Mr. Cola was a man loved by all who knew him. He was a hard-working, honest, and caring father to his only child, David, and a devoted husband to his wife, Rachel. Life for the family seemed perfect until tragedy struck when David was just 5 years old. Mr. Cola passed away suddenly, leaving Rachel to raise David alone. Rachel struggled to cope with her loss, and while she loved her son dearly, she found it hard to discipline him. She saw David as her only connection to her late husband and couldn't bear to be strict with him. As David grew, his intelligence became evident to everyone around him. Teachers marveled at his quick mind, and neighbors often commented on how bright he was. But intelligence without guidance can be dangerous, and Rachel failed to provide the structure David needed. By the time David was a teenager, he had begun using his intelligence for mischief. He started hanging out with a group of older boys who were notorious troublemakers in the neighborhood. Rachel, instead of correcting him, dismissed his behavior as a phase. She believed that prayer alone would solve the problem and often attributed David's misbehavior to spiritual attacks rather than addressing the root cause. David's involvement with the gang deepened. He quickly rose through the ranks, his sharp mind making him a valuable asset to their criminal activities. He became known for his cunning schemes, outsmarting law enforcement and rival gangs alike. But with his rise in the gang came inevitable dangers. During a violent confrontation with a rival gang, David was injured and lost his left eye. The incident left him physically scarred, but it didn't stop his descent into a life of crime. Rachel was devastated by what had happened to her son. She increased her prayers, seeking spiritual deliverance for David, but still failed to acknowledge her role in his wayward behavior. David, meanwhile, began to feel the weight of his choices. His missing eye was a constant reminder of the path he had taken, but he felt trapped in the life he had built. He believed it was too late for him to change. Years turned into decades. David, now 40 years old, was a shadow of the bright, hopeful boy he had once been. One day, while walking through the market, he overheard a conversation between two men. They were discussing their successful careers and reminiscing about their time in secondary school. David recognized one of the men as his former classmate, Tund. Tund had been an average student back in the day, but now he was a respected doctor with a family and a comfortable life. The encounter shook David to his core. He began to think about what his life could have been if he had made different choices. Regret consumed him as he realized that he had wasted his intelligence and potential. For the first time, he truly understood the magnitude of his mistakes. He thought about his late father, who had always believed in him, and his mother, who had tried her best but had ultimately failed to guide him. David decided to visit his mother to confront the past. When he arrived, Rachel was overjoyed to see him but quickly sensed the heaviness in his heart. David poured out his feelings, expressing his regret and blaming himself for the life he had led. Rachel, instead of acknowledging her shortcomings as a parent, insisted that David's troubles were the result of spiritual attacks. Their conversation was painful and filled with tears. David begged his mother to see the truth, that her lack of discipline and guidance had contributed to his downfall. Rachel, however, remained in denial. She couldn't face the guilt of her failures and clung to the belief that external forces were to blame. David's regret deepened as he tried to find ways to make amends for his past. He began volunteering at a local youth center, sharing his story with young boys who were at risk of falling into the same traps he had. He warned them about the consequences of poor choices and the importance of listening to their parents. His missing eye and weathered face served as a powerful testament to the life he had lived. Over time, David found a sense of purpose in helping others, but the pain of his wasted years never left him. He often visited his father's grave, seeking solace and silently apologizing for not living up to his potential. He also continued to visit Rachel, hoping that one day she would accept her role in his life's trajectory. Rachel, on the other hand, began to notice the positive changes in David. She saw how he was making a difference in the lives of others and started to reflect on her own actions. Slowly, she began to acknowledge that she could have done more to guide her son. It was a difficult realization, but it was the first step toward healing their fractured relationship. David and Rachel's journey was a testament to the complexities of parenthood and the consequences of unaddressed issues. While they could never turn back the hands of time, they learned to find peace in the present. David continued his work at the youth center, determined to prevent others from making the same mistakes he had. Rachel, now more introspective, supported her son in his efforts and found comfort in seeing him help others. David continued his work at the youth center, pouring his energy into mentoring at-risk youth. It was there that he met Sarah, a compassionate and resilient woman who had also faced her share of struggles. She admired David's dedication and his ability to turn his life around, while David was drawn to her warmth and unwavering optimism. Over time, their friendship deepened, and they became a source of strength for one another. David found himself opening up to Sarah in ways he hadn't with anyone else, sharing his fears, regrets, and hopes for the future. Their shared understanding and mutual respect blossomed into love, marking the beginning of a new chapter in David's life. When David proposed to Sarah, it was a simple yet heartfelt moment, reflecting the humility and gratitude that had come to define him. Their wedding was a modest affair, attended by friends, family, and members of the community who had witnessed David's transformation. The ceremony was filled with joy and hope, symbolizing the fresh start David and Sarah were embarking on together. For David, the day marked not only a new beginning in his personal life, but also a renewed commitment to making amends for his past and building a brighter future. Life as a married man brought a sense of stability and purpose to David. He and Sarah settled into a modest home near the youth center, where they continued to be active members of the community. Sarah's unwavering support and encouragement inspired David to dream bigger, and he began working on expanding the programs at the center to reach even more young people. Together, they became a beacon of hope, demonstrating the power of love, forgiveness, and second chances. A year into their marriage, Sarah gave birth to a baby boy they named Emmanuel. The arrival of their son was a moment of profound joy and gratitude. For David, Emmanuel represented a chance to rewrite his legacy and provide the guidance he had once lacked. He was determined to be the father Emmanuel deserved, vowing to nurture his son's potential and instill in him the values of discipline, integrity, and compassion. Parenthood brought its challenges, but David embraced them wholeheartedly, viewing each moment with Emmanuel as an opportunity to heal and grow. From the moment Emmanuel was born, he brought light and joy into the lives of his parents. He was a curious and energetic child, always eager to explore and learn. David and Sarah delighted in watching their son grow, marveling at his inquisitive nature and quick mind. Emmanuel's presence transformed their home into a haven of laughter and love, reminding them daily of the blessings they had been given. David took an active role in raising Emmanuel, determined to be the kind of father his own had been to him. He read to Emmanuel every night, sharing stories of courage and kindness, and encouraged him to ask questions and seek knowledge. Sarah, too, played an integral role in shaping their son's character, teaching him the importance of empathy and humility. Together, they worked to create an environment where Emmanuel could thrive, free from the shadows of David's past. As Emmanuel entered school, his brilliance became evident to everyone around him. Teachers often praised his intelligence and creativity, while his peers looked up to him as a natural leader. David and Sarah couldn't have been prouder, seeing in Emmanuel the potential to achieve greatness. For David, every milestone in his son's life was a reminder of how far he had come and a testament to the power of redemption and resilience. As Emmanuel grew older, his passion for learning only deepened. He excelled in academics, consistently earning top marks, and developed a keen interest in history and politics. Inspired by the stories of great leaders and visionaries, Emmanuel began to dream of a future where he could make a meaningful impact on society. His parents encouraged his ambitions, fostering his sense of purpose and helping him develop the skills he would need to achieve his goals. David, in particular, took pride in mentoring Emmanuel, sharing lessons from his own life and emphasizing the importance of making wise choices. He spoke candidly about his past mistakes, using them as teaching moments to guide his son. "Your intelligence is a gift," David often said, "but it's how you use it that defines you." Emmanuel took these words to heart, developing a strong moral compass and a deep sense of responsibility. By the time Emmanuel reached adolescence, he had already begun to make a name for himself in the community. He organized fundraisers for local charities, volunteered at the youth center, and even started a small initiative to provide school supplies to underprivileged children. His efforts earned him the admiration of neighbors and teachers alike, and it became clear that Emmanuel was destined for greatness. David and Sarah watched with pride and gratitude, knowing that their son was not only fulfilling his potential but also honoring the lessons they had worked so hard to impart. Emmanuel's teenage years were marked by remarkable achievements. He excelled in academics, earning scholarships and accolades that opened doors to prestigious institutions. His natural charisma and eloquence made him a standout in debates and public speaking events, and he quickly became a role model for his peers. Despite his success, Emmanuel remained grounded, crediting his parents for their unwavering support and guidance. David and Sarah continued to play an active role in their son's life, offering advice and encouragement as he navigated the challenges of adolescence. David, in particular, found immense joy in watching Emmanuel's growth, often reflecting on how different his own youth had been. He was determined to ensure that Emmanuel had every opportunity to succeed, free from the mistakes and limitations that had once held him back. As Emmanuel prepared to leave for university, he expressed his desire to study political science, with a goal of one day entering public service. His parents were thrilled, seeing in his ambitions a reflection of their own hopes for a better future. Emmanuel's departure marked a bittersweet moment for David and Sarah, but they were confident that their son was on the path to greatness. Little did they know that the journey ahead would be filled with both triumphs and challenges, testing the strength of their family and the resilience of their shared values. University life was a transformative experience for Emmanuel. He thrived in the academic environment, immersing himself in studies and forging connections with like-minded individuals who shared his vision for societal change. His professors were impressed by his intellect and drive, often describing him as a natural leader with the potential to shape the future. During his time at university, Emmanuel became involved in student government, where he quickly rose through the ranks. His ability to inspire and mobilize others earned him the respect of his peers, and he used his platform to advocate for initiatives that promoted equity and inclusion. It was during this period that Emmanuel's dream of becoming a governor began to take shape. He saw public office as a means to address the systemic issues that had plagued his community and to create opportunities for those who had been marginalized. David and Sarah remained a constant source of support, celebrating Emmanuel's accomplishments and providing guidance as he navigated the complexities of leadership. David often reminded his son of the importance of humility and integrity, urging him to stay true to his values. Emmanuel took these lessons to heart, vowing to honor his parents' sacrifices and to use his platform to make a meaningful impact. As he graduated with honors and began his career, Emmanuel's star continued to rise, setting the stage for a future that seemed full of promise and possibility. Emmanuel's political aspirations gained momentum as he worked tirelessly to build his reputation. He initiated community development projects, hosted public forums, and advocated for policies that resonated with the people. However, as his popularity grew, so did the scrutiny of his family's history. Rivals began to dig into Emmanuel's background, unearthing David's past crimes and the impact they had on the community. Stories of David's gang activities and the harm they caused began to resurface, dominating the media and overshadowing Emmanuel's achievements. Opponents used these revelations to question Emmanuel's integrity, claiming that his father's legacy disqualified him from holding public office. Emmanuel found himself in a difficult position, forced to defend not only his own character but also his family's honor. Despite his best efforts to distance himself from David's past, the stigma proved hard to shake. The negative publicity took a toll on Emmanuel's campaign. Donors withdrew their support, and some of his closest allies began to distance themselves. Emmanuel's opponents seized the opportunity to paint him as untrustworthy, using his father's past as evidence that he was unfit to lead. The public, once captivated by Emmanuel's vision, grew divided, with many questioning whether he could truly represent their interests. Emmanuel tried to address the issue head-on, holding press conferences and releasing statements that emphasized his own achievements and values. He spoke candidly about his father's mistakes, framing them as a cautionary tale and a source of inspiration for his commitment to justice and reform. While his honesty resonated with some, others remained skeptical, unwilling to separate Emmanuel from David's shadow. The challenges he faced highlighted the enduring impact of David's past mistakes and the uphill battle Emmanuel would have to fight to achieve his dreams. David's past, a painful reminder that the consequences of one's actions can ripple through generations.